आप स्टार्टिंग में सिर्फ वेलकम होगा और सिर्फ प्लांटर मिलेगा। हाँ, लास्ट में मोमेंट कौन कौन फैकल्टी। हाँ सर, हाँ 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 तो देंगे कौन तो हमने 6 लोग हैं 7 लोग। देखो दादा दादा मेरा भी नहीं
हेलो 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 हेलो, आ रही है? हेलो, हाँ बता रही हूँ, ठीक है। मैं कुछ काम किया मैं वहां से देख
और सर ऑडियंस तो आई, ऑडियंस को बुलाओ। हाँ
सबको एक अनाउंस
सर वी विल आप लोग बैठे रहेंगे अभी। आई विल इंट्रोड्यूस वन बाय वन एंड देन कॉल अपॉन स्टेज एंड आई विल कॉन्टेक्ट और उसके बाद दैट विल बी अ स्मॉल प्रेजेंटेशन।
फर्स्ट जो है कि मुझे बुला लो,
अच्छा
बिकॉज़ एज अ मॉडरेटर कम्स
ठीक है ठीक है,
वन बाय वन द पैनलिस्ट कम।
फाइन फाइन ठीक है।
मॉडरेट इंट्रोड्यूस पैनलिस्ट।
अच्छा
वो क्योंकि बड़े बड़े बनाना है।
हाँ ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है।
ठीक है।
बताइए।
Idea on the sitting arrangement here. Traitor आगे सबसे पहले बैठेंगे। देखिए सेंटर सीट। उसके बाद जैसे पहले टैब्स लग रही हैं पहले डिजाइन्स बनाना भी आपको पहले बैठ जाना पक्का। हाँ
A very good afternoon. Now we have a very interesting session on Meet the Editors. As scholars, we tend to publish, otherwise perish. And in order not to perish, we would like to know the journals and editors' minds. So let us get the ball rolling. And for this very interesting session, and read and decode the minds of the editors and the panel of editors seated here. I would like to introduce the audience with a wonderful panel of editors. I would first like to call upon stage Professor K. Rangarajan, Session Moderator, Center Head, IIFT Kolkata Campus. Professor K. Rangarajan is an experienced academic leader and serves as a session moderator and center head at the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, Kolkata Campus. With expertise in strategic management and business planning, he has trained prestigious institutions as Virginia Polytechnic Institute, World Bank Institute, and Canadian Consortium of Management Schools. A first-class scholar throughout his academic career, he is also an accredited management teacher conferred by All India Management Association. With over 700 citations and an H index of 12, Professor Rangarajan's contribution extend to professional bodies, strategic consultancy, and academic research. I welcome you, IIFT welcomes you, sir, though you are the host, one of our hosts. I would now like to call upon stage Professor Sushil, Editor-in-Chief, Global Journal of Flexible Systems Management. Professor Sushil is the Editor-in-Chief of Global Journal of Flexible Systems Management, an ABDC A category journal that advances research on strategic flexibility, system thinking, and technology management. An Emeritus Professor of IIT Delhi and Abdul Aziz Al Sagar Chair Professor in Strategic, Flexible Systems, and Technology Management, he has played a pivotal role in academic leadership, including serving as Deputy Director Operations and Dean Faculty at IIT Delhi. He has authored 20 books and published over 300 research papers, with his work widely cited in fields of strategy and management. His research contributions continue to shape the discourse on strategic change and flexibility in dynamic environments. Additionally, he edits the Flexible Systems Management book series published by Springer. With a citation count of 800 and an H index of 46, Professor Sushil brings extensive expertise to the editorial helm of a Global Journal of Flexible Systems Management, fostering high-impact scholarly discourse. We welcome you, sir. Now I would like to call upon stage Professor Ranajoy Bhattacharya, Editor-in-Chief, Foreign Trade Review. Professor Ranajoy Bhattacharya serves as an Editor-in-Chief of Foreign Trade Review, an ABDC B category journal, and publishes cutting-edge research on international trade, trade policy, and global economic trends. As a professor at the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, he brings decades of experience in trade and environmental economics, contributing significantly to the policy-relevant research. A recipient of Fulbright Scholar in Residence Award in 2007, he has collaborated with global institutions and served as a visiting professor internationally. His editorial leadership ensures that FTR remains a key platform for scholars and policymakers analyzing trade dynamics in an evolving global economy. We welcome you, sir. Next, I would like to call upon stage Professor Michael Dowling, Associate Editor, International Review of Financial Analysis, Finance Research Letters, Research in International Business and Finance. Professor Michael Dowling is an Associate Editor for 3 highly regarded finance journals, International Review of Financial Analysis, Finance Research Letters, and Research in International Business and Finance. As a full Professor of Finance at Dublin College University Business School, he specializes in financial technology, behavioral finance, and data science applications in finance. His research appears in leading international journals such as Research Policy, Journal of World Business, and Energy Economics. Professor Dowling's editorial role spans multiple journals, ensuring rigorous peer review and high-quality research dissemination. With a citation count of 7,314 and H index of 36, he brings deep expertise to these finance journals, shaping contemporary discourse in financial research. We welcome you. Next, I would like to call upon stage Professor Gurmeet Singh, Associate Editor, Journal of Global Marketing. Professor Gurmeet Singh is the Associate Editor of Journal of Global Marketing, an ABDC B category journal dedicated to advancing knowledge in global marketing strategies and consumer behavior. As the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation and Head of School of Business and Management at the University of South Pacific, Fiji, he has extensive experience in academic leadership and marketing research. With over 22 years in teaching, research, and consultancy, his work has been widely published in high-impact journals. Professor Singh's editorial expertise enhances JGM's role in bridging the gap between academic insights and global marketing practice. With a citation count exceeding 6,000 plus and an edge index of 41, he is a key figure in global marketing research. We welcome you, sir. Next, I would like to call upon stage Professor Satyanarayan Kothe, Associate Editor, Indian Economic Journal. Professor Satyanarayan Kothe is the Associate Editor of the Indian Economic Journal, an APDC B category publication dedicated to economic policy, macroeconomic trends, and sectoral growth analysis in India. As a professor at the Mumbai School of Economics and Public Policy, University of Mumbai, he specializes in mathematical economics, transportation economics, and economics of services. His research on India's service sector and post-reform growth has been instrumental in shaping economic policy decisions. Under his editorial guidance, IPJ continues to serve as a premier platform for economic scholarship. With a citation count exceeding 60 and Edge Index 4, Professor Kothe contributes significantly to the field of Indian economic studies. We welcome you, sir. I would now like to call upon stage Mr. R.K. Sharma, Senior Managing Editor, Sage Publications. R.K. Sharma is the Senior Managing Editor at Sage Publications, overseeing the publication process of research journals across diverse disciplines, including medicine, biotechnology, life sciences, engineering, and management. With extensive expertise in online journal publishing, he ensures seamless editorial workflows, quality control, and adherence to academic publishing standards. His expertise includes team management, recruitment, and customer satisfaction in open access publishing. Mr. Sharma continues with editorial, graphics, and financial teams to optimize publication process, contributing significantly to Sage's reputation as a leading academic publisher. We welcome you. I would like to call upon the stage our head research and the GBRC conference chair, Dr. Ashish Pandey, to kindly felicitate the panelists. I would also like to read Professor Ashish Pandey's credentials. Dr. Ashish Pandey, PhD Finance, Department of Financial Studies, is currently working as a Professor Finance and Head Research at IIFT, along with Campus Head GIFT City, and has around 2.5 decades of corporate and academic work experience. He is also currently serving as an editor Focus, WTO, and IIFT in-house journal. He has held up various academic administrative positions in past, like head MDP area chair of finance, IQAC heads, case center chairperson, and accreditations head, to name a few. I would like to, he has organized various international conferences in his capacity, and he publishes widely in the area of asset pricing, corporate finance, and valuations with prestigious publishers like Taylor & Francis, Wiley, Elsevier, Springer, and Sage, to name a few. So I would like you to felicitate our board.
Not required. Welcome. Sustainability is
The floor is now open to Professor Ranajoy.
Thank you to Gurmeet and Dr. Pandey. A very good afternoon to all of you. I think post-launch, the session needs to be lively. And the panel discussion definitely for the researchers who are present over here, and also the faculty who are present over here. This session is going to be really an important session. Like when Pina was introducing, she was talking about publisher perish. See, earlier, publications by the faculty and the researchers used to be mainly for disseminating some knowledge. Whatever have come out with certain knowledge, they want to give it to the society. Now we have reached the stage where publication has become must. Not all you want to be in the field, then you should have some publications. This is just like B-school rankings, top 10, top 20, etc. The number of papers published, etc. That makes a lot of difference. And I'm not, the panel will be telling what is happening in the publication area. But the thing is, there are two important segments when it comes to publication. One is the faculty, for whom publications are now becoming more important because most of the institutions talk about promotions which will be based on publication quality. For the researchers, of course, there also the barriers are there. You publish 2 papers, 3 papers, then only your thesis will be accepted. So now, under compulsion, when we go to the PhD coursework, classes, etc., quite often, students also wondering, right, looking at some paper, they say, "Sir, look at the quality of this paper, I published better than this, but still my paper has been rejected." This is a common complaint. The faculty also talk about, "Is it a paper, it's now more than a year. I got one review, after that nothing has come." So we got all those editors who are sitting here, who are behind the scenes, who are creating these kind of issues for you. And of course, when your paper gets accepted, you have all praises for them. When it gets rejected, I don't know how much you may be cursing them. So all those cursed souls are sitting here, and probably now you may be able to hear from them some of the things which are very important when it comes to publication. But before I start with the panelists, I have some important. I was just looking into the publication, the way in which it has evolved, etc. When it evolved, which they say the first paper, first academic journal, which was called Philosophical Transactions of what is that? Some society, right? That society, it was established in 1665. That was the first publication by scientists. Basically, the scientists wanted to share the kind of knowledge, whatever they had, that they had with others. But now, what has happened is publishing has now become more and more with the publishing houses than the people, the researchers. Another interesting fact, my friend from Sage may also agree with me. The big five, they account for more than 50% of the journals now. Be Sage and Elsevier and all those names whatever they have taken, all the five. Wiley, Springer, Elsevier, and then you have Taylor and Francis, they account for more than 50% of the research journals. So far, this has been now more commercialized. Now, another thing has also happened, which is the digital part of it. AI, Chat, GPT, etc. have come. I don't know how the publishers and the editors are able to look into it. To what extent its original contribution, to what extent it has been helped by the so-called artificial intelligence. Also, you find that there are, in the recent past, there are a lot of journals which have been withdrawn. And well-known journals were withdrawn because of the way in which parallelism is happening in the copies which have happened in that. I hope most of the researchers will be aware of it. So it is now becoming important to understand a publication, how to publish, what kind of mistakes generally is being made to make the quality of the publication being accepted. Whether it is good to have more and more data and the tricky methodologies are we go for some of the conceptual research. Nowadays, you find that most often the PhD students who are sitting here, whenever you are asked about the methodology, you always say, what do you follow methodology? Mixed methodology. It has become more popular. So, what is going to be the best, etc. There are some advices, I would say, and also some I would say counterpoints which may be there that my panelists here who are sitting here, they have seen all those ups and downs. And Professor Sushil, I still remember when this journal came out. And today, the quality of this journal, I can feel when I was in Delhi, I think early 2000s, first time, and then it was, yes, at that time it started. As I was told, so I will be able to write something on this. And today, I write and they reject. Right, so that is the status. You can understand as to how it has grown. There is a case with the IIFT, the way in which they have crossed different barriers and reached to some of the heights. Alright, so we are going to have an interesting panel discussion. So let me start with Professor Sushil to share first his thoughts, and I think he will be making a presentation also on some of the pros and cons. Right, sir? Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ranajoy. You already expressed many ideas which are there. I will not be talking from the point of view of our journal first. I will in general, the researchers who are looking to go for publication, which everybody has to look for, that is what Professor Ranajoy said, publish or perish. We will all love to publish. Not for the sake of publishing. I would not like to advise that. Only when we have something meaningful to convey to the readers, then only we should go for the publishing. That is the most important part. And particularly for the research scholars, I would like to highlight that they should always prepare a publication plan. As you are preparing a research plan, research proposal, similarly, you should also prepare a publication plan that these are the contributions you are coming in your research work. So these are the possible areas, 3-4 papers that you would like to prepare, to which kind of journals they will be relevant. So please prepare a list of journals in order of your significance and relevance, and also see their ratings. So you should prepare a publication plan. I have been requesting this to all my scholars, but very rarely they are preparing, and more scarcely and rarely they are following. But still, it is my request to prepare a publication plan. So while preparing the publication plan or conveying and communicating any research paper for publication, the first and foremost thing that has to be kept in mind is the relevance of the journal. That if you are communicating to X journal, whether your paper is relevant to that journal or not. We are communicating just because we have done a good research work, but the journal is not related to that area very clearly. Say just I give an example of our journal, Global Journal of Flexible Systems Management, which is focusing on flexibility. If there is no dimension of flexibility related research has been done, no variable is addressed, then obviously this is you are putting your paper yourself for a desk selection. In general, for any good quality journals, nearly 75% submissions are coming, they are getting desk rejected. So different journals have different ways and mechanisms of doing that. But if the relevance is not there, That is the first area of concern for any editor. The second foremost requirement for any research-oriented journal, not I'm talking about the practical, practicing managers kind of journals like Harvard Business Review or Sloan Management Review. The research journals, high quality, which are there, they are looking for some kind of a strong theoretical grounding of your research work that you are going to communicate. So please highlight the theoretical grounding, not simply communicate in literature review and say this paper has done this and this author has expressed this, and you write 2-3 pages. But which theories are there on which your research is grounded? So, and what extensions of those theories you are looking for to do in your research work? So, theoretical grounding is very, very important to be communicated in your research. As an editor-in-chief, when something is coming to me, these are the two main things I see: the relevance and also the theoretical grounding. And if none of the two are there, then it is obviously going for a test rejection. If then I communicate to the associate editors and others, even if a little bit promise is there, then they would like to see whether they would like to send it for a review. So then there is a review process. So sometimes the associate editors also feel that there is not enough merit in the paper they get, or they send it to the reviewers, and the reviewers also feel that these are the areas where it is not relevant and they reject. Then another important concern which is there to be seen in any paper that you are communicating for publication, that what is the novelty? What new thing you are bringing out in your research? So novelty is a very, very central field, and I must say otherwise, there are so many researches have been done, so many papers have been published year after year. What is something new? And it should be represented both in the abstract as well as in the introduction part of the paper. That novelty part is very, very important. And finally, something you have analyzed and some discussion has been done, and some model has been tested, and some thing is there. But in the end, most important part is the discussion of that. I am finding that the people create this, and in the end, a model is prepared, and then they just conclude with it. So discussion has to be there in a very, very in-depth manner, that what this model is really trying to convey, what is something unique in it, how it is related with the previous researches. So the discussions are there to be both on the theoretical implications of the paper as well as the relevance for the practitioners, how they can make use of this paper, what are the practical implications, and if it is a policy related issue, then the policy implications what are there. So the discussion part should be very, very strong in the paper. So since there are other members also, I think they let the every member express themselves, and then we will go for our.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your initiative, the newness in publication plan, etc. I go by the order that is given in the panel. I now request Professor Ranajoy to share a few words on his first. This thing, I think Professor Ranajoy is also having some presentation to give in India.
Giving me the opportunity to speak to, I think mostly to students who are trying to publish. So first let me tell you that the editor has nothing much to do with acceptance index, that is in foreign trade reviews first. The acceptance rejection part is done by reviewers. the editor most of the time, doesn't even choose the reviews. The editor chooses a person among his editorial board who is published on the subject, knows the subject matter. And it is left to the person to choose appropriate. Okay. When I give the presentation, I will show you some snapshots. Let me tell you that my comrade in arms in this Devashishya who could not come here and whose daughter has met with a not very near accident. At 2:30 at night, they sent me a presentation, which part of it I think would be useful. And also want to show you a referee report, because often you feel that the referee is your enemy. It's not. The referee is often the biggest friend. And I'll give you an example of how the referee can be a very good friend of yours. So the thing is, the editor does not intervene into the process too much. His work is to oversee that the things are going on smoothly, and that a good person is doing the review, a good person is assigned. The editor has a lot of say in the distribution part, but objectives are clear. I think Mr. Sushil, Professor Sushil has given the reasons very clearly. In APR, what we do is there is a things in two things are there. One is contribution to literature. If it is not a major contribution to literature, we won't consider. Second is inadequate analytical content. So descriptive statistics is not. We don't take it at all. What Professor Sushil said is absolutely spot on. The theory must be there, but it must be grounded. And in economics, we call it a kind of reduced form. Reduced form is nothing but if you have a conceptual theory, then also the equation that you estimate must come from that theory directly, because otherwise the causality between the variables cannot be correct. And all the correlations, all the causalities that you will find might be spurious. So that is one theory. So these are the two major things. The other reason is if you are thinking that, I think there is a myth with many people, and I have done this mistake many times myself. This paper has published many papers on this subject, so actually you need to accept it. But to the editor, if the subject has been published many times, then he wants to go for other subject so that his journal does not only get targeted on small, very narrow. So these are for the editor actually the concern is outside that. These are the publications things, which the referees, the associate editor, at a certain this is interesting. For the editor, how will the journal go to the next stage is most important. What are the things required? I am today this is C, how will become MDC, because that is how the journal will be known to the people. And for that, what do I need to do more? How do I need to do? Some of the points that we follow, like geographical diversification, is very important. Editorial board, who all will be there? How many continents have been covered? Which are continents that are required? So all these things are editorial decisions that the editor basically looks at. Though the letter, final letter goes in the name of the editor, the process is done by as much as possible by the people who are outside the direct. The editor wants to outsource them so that there is no bias from their side. So I will stop here now. Maybe a small presentation I will show so that I can give some evidence.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ranajoy. Now let me request Professor Satyanarayan raise future observations. So I was told that the organizers by 3:30 we have to wind it up, because it is well known that academicians speak a lot. So we have to control that. So we need not tell them. Okay.
What is being taught on why the papers get rejected at this meeting. So we also feel very sorry to reject the candidates. As from there we were discussing, we feel very sorry. Because the researchers, they carry their work for months and maybe half an hour, 2 hours reading of these papers. We come at the conclusion that it should be rejected at this. So this pause is maybe was to understand something. Very importantly, many times we send our papers to a journal, maybe looking at some information or having some recommendation by our professor that you send it to this journal or that journal. Without understanding the scope and the objectives of the research we send it. This is first reason why paper get rejected. There are many tools by the publishers. Sage has the journal finder. So I am giving the issues as well as the solutions for it. So one can have the abstract or the keywords and search the journals. Elsevier, they have their own engine. So even other classes they have. If we do that with all these journals and then again Scopus and other databases they help us. Again, we want to know the result immediately, so we can send the paper to a journal who is responding quickly, maybe in a week or two, to understand some, because everyone when rejects the paper gives some reasons. So it's very good to know why paper is rejected. I'm very positive. On positive note, I'm telling, getting to know why paper is rejected is good. The reason is that we can improve it on the grounds where it is rejected, refine it, and send it to a journal which is relevant. One can also do that with whatever journal we have decided. We search the key terms what our paper is related and then narrow down whether this journal accepts such papers or not. This is first to understand. Secondly, the audience of the journal. Who is the audience of the journal? And what they want, whether they are policymakers, whether they are academicians, what they understand, what they are interested in. So you come to know the reader's interest. And then I would suggest all the researchers, those who are doing PhD in research, there are some tools, skills we can improve on. To understand, though we are here to discuss things, but I would say teacher is a good student, and the result is he has to teach. So he reads many books, right? So a student wants to be good, then he has to read a lot of books, right? Similarly, if we want to do research and publish our articles in good journals, then look at who are assessors, evaluators. Reviewers are evaluators. So what they look at, if you come to know before writing your research paper, what they look at,
They look at the introduction, they look at the rigor of your constructing the research problem. They look at the best of the methodologies and recent methodologies, relevant methodologies corresponding to the problem you set for. They look at the rigorous literature review, that too again well cited studies and all that. So how we come to know how we get these skills? One way is very simple. You go and do Web of Sciences, or even Elsevier, they have started how to review. There is a you can say course on that. How to become a reviewer. There are courses by these publishers. Just complete these courses. Because they also give some set of skills. That how to review a paper, how to read the introduction, what to look into the literature review, what to look into the methodologies, what to look into the results, what to look into the policy recommendations and suggestions conclusion, how references are designed. All these things are very systematically done in these courses. And if we become reviewer, surely we will be able to write a good paper. So, I will sum up with my observations that around 40% of the papers get rejected at the desk. It's not good. And out of 100 submitted to the journal, 19 get published at the end. This is I am talking about our journal. Yeah. So if this is scenario, then surely we are going somewhere wrong. So we have to correct ourselves. So be positive and look at all the methodologies, whether we have reached the robustness of the methodology. That's very important nowadays. Whenever econometric methodologies are adopted, then please look into the robustness of the methodologies applied. So, with my little knowledge as associate editor, I could say, I can just say that this discussion surely will help you to articulate your paper in a very efficient manner, and that will make yourself a good research student. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kothe. Now let me ask Professor Michael Dowling for your initial views.
Lovely. Thank you. I suppose I'll start by building on Professor Kothe's point about the huge number of articles that's rejected that never even get a chance to be seen by anyone, and that's a tragedy. But it is to a decent extent the editor doing you a favor that they don't see an endpoint where this article can reasonably be accepted. So why waste 6 months of your life waiting to get that news when you can start working on fixing the problems now? So a desk reject is usually a sign of a good editor rather than an editor who's willing to rip off the plaster rather than let the wound continue unaddressed for another 6 months. I actually, while I was listening to these comments, I started coming up with a list of things that, from my experience, make a big difference in terms of submitting the right type of paper that gives you the highest likelihood of being accepted. Because from my experience, I'm an associate editor of 3 journals now, but I was an editor-in-chief of the Journal of Behavioral and Experimental Finance for about 8 years. That was an ABPCA journal. It was an okay journal. It was good. But over the space of that editor-in-chief thing in particular, I must have seen maybe like 2,000 articles, which a few hundred ended up getting published. And the bottom 60% of submissions to that journal were never getting published, no matter what was done to them. But the top 40% had a probability chance of being published, but not a 100% chance of being published. And the best thing you can do when writing an article is to consistently get yourself in the top 40% and then play the probabilities game. That you could submit the best paper in the world to a journal, and for whatever reason, reviewers don't like it, it's not quite the right fit for the journal, as my panel member next to me was saying earlier, maybe the journal has just published too many of those papers recently and they don't want to be known that that's their journal. So getting into the top 40% consistently with enough publications, and then the publications are going to work. So enough publications, not just relying on one publication and hoping it works. I think the biggest thing for that then is about the volume of quality research you can do. And the biggest thing that stops us submitting the right volume of good research is that we keep getting distracted. Those of you who are in a PhD program, I think you don't yet realize how luxurious your experience is compared to when you succeed and become an assistant professor, when you suddenly can no longer, you have to find time to do research in your evenings, in your, at 2 in the morning, you were receiving an email from a colleague whose daughter has been injured. That's where you find time to do research. And I guess the biggest thing that distracts us is saying yes to everything, rather than politely saying no to things that are brilliant for other people but aren't really helping us. We need to learn how to reject ideas that people come to us that are going to take our time and not give us value back. I realize we're going on to a conversation now, so I'll just quickly go through a few other points, which is, even though it's not true, you need to adopt the perspective that the journal is always right. And I should add, the footnote, the journal is not always right, but I've seen people get eaten up with the frustration over a paper being rejected and about why it was rejected and how a reviewer didn't understand them, and how the system doesn't understand them, and how research is corrupt, and etc., etc. And it's, the perspective has to be, if a journal is consistently rejecting what you think is good research, then in your head, you need to change your mindset to this is a phrase, it's an Irish phrase, it's not a great Irish phrase, it's, okay, let's do your stupid thing. We will, if you expect research, if you as a journal expect research to look in a certain way, then I will produce research that looks that way. Whether or not I think that's the best way of doing it. And it's a much more positive mindset. The negative mindset is what kills academics in the long term, that in any faculty, and I don't know what it's like here, but in any faculty I've ever worked in across the UK, France, and Ireland, which is a very small, narrow cultural grouping, there's usually about half of the faculty that have given up and have dropped out, and another half of the faculty that are going high. And the half of the faculty that have given up, that have dropped out, are people that took the negative messages from desk rejections, not the how can I do it better the next time? How can I play their stupid game? So on that hopefully positive note, I'll finish up because we're about to have a panel discussion. I don't want to take any time, but I have more to say later. Thank you.
Now, let me go to Professor Gurmeet Singh for sharing his initial views.
Thank you, Professor Ranajoy. I just don't want to repeat what my fellow panelists have already said, but I just want to highlight three important things. One is about what my fellow panelists said, publish or perish. I suppose publish or perish is obsolete now. You publish, you will still perish. That's what's happening in the universities, that's what's happening in the institutions, that's what's happening in the business schools. So what matters now is publish quality research and you may survive. Still, that means you will still perish. And we are at a stage, you publish high quality frequently. And that's how you will survive. Now, fellow panelists have already highlighted the issues. The issues are rejection, issues are revision. Protest rejection is something, all of us actually experience. Even when I'm looking after 3 journals, I still get rejections. So desk rejection is not something you should be worried about. So desk rejection also means that your paper is not fully developed yet. And sometimes, there is possibility if you can convince the editor that you be allowed resubmission, that you will work on developing this paper further and allow resubmission. And that's what you should be actually trying. If you know that you are doing a relevant research and that research will make a difference and you have targeted a journal, so if your paper gets desk rejected, so just convince the editor that your research is relevant. You agree that it's not fully developed yet, so you will make efforts to, improve the paper. And I have experienced many of my desk rejected papers were published in some good A-rank journals. So don't be depressed if your paper is desk rejected. But you should always aim for revision. So revision is something which gives you a lot of opportunity to improve the paper and then get that paper accepted in the journal. So revision is something you should be working on, and many times revision is much more painful than desk rejection. I can share with you there are a number of papers where me and my team have revised 5 to 6 times. Sometimes you have to argue with the reviewers. And you keep repeating that, revising, improving, and finally you become successful in getting your paper published. The third, we don't have much time, so I will just, the third thing that I want to highlight is that, see, we are dealing with rejections, we are dealing with revisions, so what is the solution to that? How should we proceed? And how should we be able to survive? The best mantra is collaboration. Collaborate with the best people and work on the research. And that's how you can always improve your papers. That's how you will have better chances of your paper being selected. So collaborate all over the world. Find who are the researchers who are working on the problems that are similar to yours. So don't feel depressed, keep working, keep improving, and keep publishing. Thank you.
Professor Gurmeet, I think now it's time to hear from Mr. Rahul Sharma, the publishing point of view, yeah, publisher's point of view, yeah.
Thank you, Professor Ranajoy. So, I come from a publishing sector background where all these things runs in background. So, theoretical aspect you all have gained till now. So, I'll also look some point at some aspect of it, like desperation. People have already mentioned it. That's a good practice, and we also are ensuring that author gets more and more time to construct the paper in such a manner that it will get accepted in the same journal, similar journal, or any other journal where they want to. This saves a lot of time, I agree with that. During peer review process also, I'll also share some of the things, actually what editors look into your manuscript or reviewer looks into your manuscript will see it for the very first time. Let's say one of the things which you need to construct well is the abstract and your keyword. Most of the people doesn't draft the manuscript in such a way because they don't see it for a longer time. When let's see my article, if it is going to publish, how it will appear. If we start to seeing our manuscript at that very beginning stage, then probably we'll incorporate more things, like how this abstract will be more meaningful and more readable to the audience when it is getting published. Because it's not only our target to get the work published, but it should also benefit people. So first the people will understand your abstract. Because most of the journal, if they are in hybrid mode, you are not able to get the complete article at first go. So the only thing by which your article will be popular or even they can create a zeal to read by other people is the abstract. Then the keywords are most important thing. Now you see in the perspective of all of us know about social media optimization, search engine optimization, but your article also lies on the web. So why not we think our article also to be optimized in such a way that what are the article keyword says about my work, my identity, my department, and my research ideas. So if it tells correctly about that, probably there are larger chances that after publication your work will get cited. So I'll talk more through my presentation also as part of this discussion. But I'll hold my discussion at this time and I'll go in a sequence where I can show you the review process and how to handle those rejections and why revisions are important and all those things. Thank you.
I don't know, I fear that with the time order limit has been given, I may be able to take the presentations. There will be 4 presentations, would you allow? I don't think that I am doing only 15 more minutes to go for. Because I have some questions also to ask based on the initial things, whatever you have shared with me. So I have a few questions. Based on what Professor Sushil said, he said the ball rolling on the fundamentals when it comes to publication, etc. The old time, 25 years back or 30 years back, we were following when we published, we used to follow the traditional model of PRC. First you publish, review, curate, wherein working papers used to be published, you get comments, and that then, so the rejections rate were very low. But now in the modern publication, whatever is now happening, this is gone. Do you think that it's a good idea to go back with this kind of technology which is available so that the papers can be available for people? Then you get the feedback and then finally go for your curated papers to publish. I don't know. It's only an idea. I want reactions from the panelists. Similarly, I also want the panelists to share some of the trends what now they are seeing, because most of you are veterans, you have seen during different years the way these things have happened. Okay, so I think on these 2 points, I would like to seek some kind of views from the panelists. whoever wants to, because I have to also give time to the audience for questioning, because I cannot go on talking, right?
I agree with the Professor. See, the days have gone for the working papers and all that. Now preprints are there. Sage preprint is there. Elsewhere they have SSRN for social science research. Likewise, preprints are there, and also very careful, because some journals they do not accept the preprint for submissions. Maybe you have submitted some preprint somewhere. Some journals, they have a policy, they write very precisely that we do not accept the papers which are in any of the archives, that's the preprints. So if you are targeting some journals where they do not accept the preprints, then don't do this. Otherwise, preprints, they are very successful in a nature. The reason is that your preprints get cited. So the citations, your citation starts from your previous one, and you get the comments also. So when we send a paper to world development, they send we are flooded with around 2,000 papers. So we can't accept your paper. So we suggest you send it to some our journal, that is World Development Sustainability. It took 2 years. See, we could not wait for 2 years. So what we did is we sent it to the preprint, and that paper got 4 citations in preprints. So, and also comments. That's very important, sir, as you say, that working paper though are not there very popularly being followed by the institutions. One institution can do, but again the mechanism is required, review mechanism is required. Even we have at Mobile School working paper series. But we were not able to do this because many of the logistic reasons. But preprints are like working paper only. There is no doubt, and this helps you to get the comments, and then you can improve on and submit to the good journals. Thanks.
Thank you, yeah.
Thank you, Professor Kothe, to highlight that preprint part. And that is one of the important aspects. Also, there are a couple of journals which follow a different type of peer review process, which is nowadays have been adopted by a couple of journals, that is called open peer review system. So know the model of peer review, also what a journal is following. If any journal is following open peer review model, you can submit your article, get the online version of the article right after initial screening, and then the paper can gets evolved and evolved after each reviewer's comment. So once reviewer comments on it, and author gets a chance to revise it according to reviewer's comment, and then again next version of article gets published. So that if you want to go in that mode, there are journals available. But yes, as Dr. Kothe mentioned, Professor Kothe mentioned, there are logistic regions. Because handling a journal requires a lot of people who works behind the scene. Like there are plenty of editors, associate editors, reviewers. So this adds up to the work who are behind the working papers also. Because same mechanism is getting followed there. So to save time, this peer review process also was introduced. So you can choose wisely as well.
The recent trends, as I was saying, one recent trend is becoming to go for collaborations in a non-meaningful manner. So just you have somebody identified from some international quarters, and maybe that person might be having editorial holdings capacity. And with that name, you would like to see that the journal may take that not as a desk selection and will move forward. Now, that's not a very good practice. In that process, there may be a likelihood of a success. The paper might get published, but particularly those who are looking for their career to be made, and if they apply to some institution, now all institutions are looking for how many authors, if you are there, your supervisor is there, they are happy with that list. But if some third person, fourth person is there in the list of authors, then once you will reach to the level of the questioning in the interviews, that is the first question that will be answered, who is this person? And how do you know that person? And what is his or her contribution in the paper? Most of the scholars are not able to tell about that. They will say, sir, this is my supervisor has told, so I have given this. So please do not go, please hesitate to give that kind of a thing starting. I always advise my scholars that in our papers, till so long as you are here in IIT Delhi, we will not let you allow to see somebody third person. If you want to publish it on third person, don't give us our name. Yeah. So we do not want to, once you are placed somewhere, then it is your free, whatsoever the practice you want to do there. But the collaborations, as Professor has said, Gurmeet, that collaboration is very important because we get a lot of insight through the collaboration. But this collaboration is just for me sake and not for any contribution in the paper, that is not. And things are happening nowadays. A lot of special issues are getting recalled. They are retracted from the journals. They published. The whole special issue was published, then the complaints are reached, and from the rest of the journals, they get it in the journals. And then the whole special issue, maybe 4 or 5 papers might be of that kind, but that is all retracted. And the rest of the authors are also getting punished because of that. So this is also a recent trend. So we have to be extremely careful while collaborating.
So I just want to talk about two things. One is what Professor Ranajoy actually mentioned, the working papers. Now we are in the digital era, so working papers like that will not work, but we are trying actually a different thing. So internal, you can have the institutional internal sort of working papers where papers can be developed and then you can have debates on those papers. And then that's how papers can be improved. And we are doing that and that's working well. The second point that I want to discuss is about the collaboration. When we say collaboration, collaboration means what? You know, if you look at the rejections, many journals, especially these high quality journals, they reject your papers based on single country research. We receive those sort of rejections. So if you are targeting a multi-country paper, so that's why this collaboration is important. So collaboration actually serves different purposes. One is that you can have a country comparison study, and second is that you learn from each other. So that's where your collaborator can critique your questionnaire. So collaborator can critique your analysis. So some are strong in analysis, some are strong in developing the proposals and all that. So that's where this collaboration sometimes is very important. But if we talk about the unethical aspects, yes, then you have to be very careful because that is becoming an issue. There are ghost, authors, and that has to be avoided. So collaboration means become the partner, equal partner in contributing to the research, and that's what for me collaboration actually means.
Yeah. Mahila?
This has been discussed a lot nowadays. So the publication process has been gained to a large extent. There are people who are having huge age indexes and would not find credibility in the academic circles. And there are very good people who have who who have a complaint about a lot of people who have made groups with each other and cross-reference each other and what he said is also right, some editors doing this. So it's very unfortunate. Be careful about that. And so at the end of the day, the research, you should be proud of your research. It's not a place to show your, see how great I am. There is no way you can show that. But if you are doing it for your own sake, for your love for your subject, then that is all. Because otherwise, there are now reports of some writers who are getting blacklisted due to this. And finally, on the working paper side, working paper can be given on SSRN, uploaded on SSRN, electronic versions. NPR is also on the electronic version. So you will get collaborators also from there. For example, the famous Stiglitz model. Initially, Stiglitz wrote the paper, and then the working paper was read by Dixit and said, hey, I can contribute to this. So this thing is still on. I myself have written a paper from NPR as someone commented and then we go to the channel. So it's quite successful.
I think the intentions matter because nowadays the trend is there you find collaborators 2, 3, 4 understandable, but nowadays you see the 6, 8, and 12, which is happening. That sounds. Okay. So that's why I raised this issue because the young researchers should remember. So it's not a mandatory that you should have 10, 15 people put together a section is writing a paper. Okay, that's interesting, and I think now, I don't know, now I'm leaving it to the audience for questions, right, before I go further, because I'm already reaching the end of this panel, right, audiences, researchers, any rejections, any soft stories and sad stories, you can ask.
Give it to the mic. Give the mic.
Good afternoon, everyone. So the question and to the entire panel is your opinion and your viewpoint about the growing use of AI in papers. Do you think that it is, would you encourage it or would you absolutely discourage the use? And this is especially in context of sections like literature review or writing the introductions, not essentially the results in discussion section.
Very interesting question. It is there and it is very popular at this juncture. It is there. We have to be extremely careful in using any kind of AI tool in the process of writing the paper. Because many things are happening through the AI. The writing is not consistent with the AI and it gets caught. Now the intermittent kind of the thing which are checking the plagiarism, it is also checking the AI content also. So we have to avoid the use of AI. We are a paper writer. We have to see our thought has to go into the paper. The use of our intelligence is important rather than artificial intelligence is important. My strong recommendation is not to go for using AI tools for research paper writing.
So I don't have, inevitably the future of research is going to be AI augmented. And you as PhD students, those of you who are PhD students, are going to be this first generation of AI augmented researchers. I personally think you should grab that opportunity. There was a model released by Google last night, like 12 hours ago, which is well beyond most human intelligence in most analytical tasks. Why would you not augment your intelligence with these types of models? This is our task as humanity, as yeah. Oh, there we are. We're back. Our task as humanity, as people who have the privilege of being researchers, which is a role that didn't exist in ancient societies. Ancient societies couldn't afford to have people devoted, or couldn't afford many people to be devoted to tasks like we're able to engage in. Our task is not to count up the number of stars or the number of H, or how high our H index is. Our task is to move forward knowledge and understanding in society in the context of IIFT to boost the trade position of India in the world. We should use every possible intelligence tool that's available to us to achieve new advances in that technology. Exactly how it interacts with journals, I think you need to be careful about that. To my mind, I think any restrictions that Sage or Elsevier, etc., have on the use of AI, these are just temporary while the publishers work out the new world. But you should use every tool available to you that helps you to arrive at smarter answers that help push forward understanding in society. Thanks.
So please consider AI as your friend, not misuse it, but augment your research to your care. I have been doing this recently, and I think my research has become better through this process. AI is complementary, it's not competitive. That is what is my experience.
I would add with few of the observations. AI, what it does is it just maps in your question in the database. That database may have limitation. See, many journals are subscription based, many are open access. So if you do it repeatedly, then you will realize that AI is generating the information which is in open access or somewhere openly available. And it is limiting itself to that only, and it is not looking at very good journals which are subscription based. So that way, how you will have the answer for. As Ranajoy said, one way it is your friend and it can augment your research, constructive ideas, create farming. But see, AI is based on some prompt. The same prompt if someone in the world has given, the same answer will be received to that person also. You are writing the research paper, that person also writing the research paper, same context may be someone parallel. See, one line also may change your life. That will be treated as plagiarism. See, very important implication is there. I know the cases have been found for the plagiarism. And the person who suffers through that, even if the person is at fault or not, but plagiarism can be, we can say, the probability of plagiarism, we can say enlarges with the use of it. The reason is that person, another person, multiple people, they may use the same prompt and there may be some sentences which are common. And if you want to avoid that, better to have more and more reading, take help that what is the argument, but then go into the many times abstract may be only read by the AI, not the paper. So a good constructive paper needs the rigorous reading, right? So unless we go into the details of the paper, AI may just give you some understanding, but one has to go into the details and then reframe your paper. I would say, as friend, you help, take the help, and then just go into the details and revise your paper. That may be answer for this. Thank you.
Yeah, I suppose this is the debatable issue. AI is there, but recently, like as an editor, I have seen, and we have actually rejected a number of papers, AI generated papers. So this is becoming a problematic thing. But AI is there. If you go back to 80s, 90s, when I did my PhD, it was all manually. Even the statistical analysis was done manually. We used to write in the journals and they would send us papers by post. I would come to Delhi School of Economics, go to library, print the papers, and then, that's how we were doing the literature review, and analysis was very time consuming. But then with the technology, you can see statistical analysis has become important. Initially, same things were being discussed when, those softwares were developed. No, you can do any sort of analysis using those tools. And same thing has happened with the literature review also. Recently, I attended a couple of workshops in the Academy of Marketing and Science, and there were a lot of debates about AI, and AI is definitely a threat. But you have to be very careful about this trend, how you want to seek help from this trend. Now, when it comes to the literature review, I suppose a lot of our time gets wasted in searching for the relevant papers, searching for the relevant journals. I suppose AI can be very helpful there. But don't use AI for writing. Don't use AI for, the research, full research. Seek help from AI where you are stuck. So that will work.
So I just have a question. If you are asking everything to be done by AI, which currently generative AI is capable of, so if you ask them to write the literature review for you, they can write their even introduction, even discussion for your research. So can you tell yourself as an author of that particular manuscript if you have done everything from there? That is one of the debates. In that case, generative AI should be the author of that particular manuscript. So we don't want to put ourselves into that situation. Take help from AI for particular things where you are stuck, for enhancing your research. But when you are writing a paper to get it published, probably you need to put your heart into that paper. Only then you will be able to express your thoughts, your research, what was there in your mind to before you even thought of starting that research. So that should be conveyed, and in that way itself, you will be able to convey to the audience that what is the benefit of it, how they can utilize it, and they can create and they can interrelate a human relation with your manuscript.
Okay.
Thank you. Now I have to anyhow conclude. 3 minutes, but no, see, I know that there are a lot of questions, people are interested in that, but the other session is also there. My only request is, I think we have a dinner also at that time, people may be able to interact with some of these editors and take the clarifications. That will be better. Otherwise, Tumina will just go with the vote of thanks. She is really clear. Which I don't want to, because I have to conclude this properly. First of all, thanks to all my panelists. In fact, I would start with Sushil on the fundamentals, and then some good comments which came from his Professor Ranajoy and Professor Kothe talking about the robustness of methodology, and Ranajoy talking about the reviewers and the way in which rejections are happening, and with the thing by Professor Dowling, wherein he was talking about the good desk research is the good motivation rather than considering that as a bad kind of a thing. And also the referencing part of it, which was Gurmeet is saying, that is also an important thing. And right, and Rahul Shabaraji is there, Sage, and he will also be available in our dinner, right? And he may be able to give. In fact, I have negated almost all the presentations, right? Veena, you cannot make me commit more sins, okay? So now let me conclude this with compliments to all the panelists. We started with the publish or perish, so we are now concluding with the publish and cherish. So with the quality papers, so don't get demotivated, because see, the academic ecosystem is evolving. So naturally, we need to go in for adaptation. Probably conferences like this gives you an opportunity to understand what kind of things are happening and how we may be able to adapt ourselves. So with that positive note, let me thank the organizers for giving this panel an opportunity to discuss things. Wish you all the best and thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rahul, would you briefly in 2 minutes would like to present or? Yes.
So we have our tracks waiting, so a very brief maybe.
I think most of the things we have already discussed with the panel. So I'll just go slide by slide and give you just a glimpse of what happens. So as Professor Kothe also mentioned, that journal selection becomes very, very important factor when you start publishing. So you can use different tool, even the tool is being offered by Sage. So that is journal recommender. You can make utilization of that. So these are some basics of selecting a journal, the common identifier which you can keep in mind, including visibility, the editorial board criteria, like who are the decision maker for that journal. Then journal editorial policy, whether it accepts preprint or not, and all those things, what are the kind of peer review process or model it follows. Then the quality criteria of content, what kind of content they have been publishing, and all those sort of things. So this is the Sage recommended tool. I have mentioned the URL, but it is very user-friendly tool. You can make use of it. And so it will give you, based on some input from your end, it will provide you some journals, potential journal where you are able to submit your work. Then there is preparation, where the submission guideline, aim and scope, and all those things becomes very important. It gives you an idea whether your work is very compatible to this journal or not, and why you want to publish with this journal. Then there is a peer review process, and why this peer review process is being opted, and how it is refining your work for better version of your work to be published at final. Then this is the complete process. I could have given you a better overview if given the time, but
share it with
yeah, I'll share this PPT with all of you so that you can take benefit from here. So types of peer review, as we were discussing about open peer review process or transparent peer review process, which came into existence very lately. Then these are the outcomes, and these were the common factor why your manuscript gets rejected at very early stage, so that you can take care of those things. If reviewers are not convinced that your contribution is making sufficient addition to the existing literature. So the criticism, the handling rejections. So this is the criticism, you need to take it in stride and to improve the paper and get this paper to a suitable journal where it has the chances to publish after modifications. So focus on why manuscript was rejected and then accordingly work towards it. Then revise to improve, also handling revision. So one of you might have heard of people in, let's say, top 2% of researcher or something like that. So I would like to say they are not very extraordinary person, but they always had a zeal to learn and revise their work. Do you know how many times they revise their own work before sending it to a journal even? So 10 times, 20 times, they revise it on their own, within their institution, within their department, and then it goes to journal. And even after, if it is being sent, returned, they have a practice of revising it and acting according to the reviewer's comment. So that, I think, you also need to adopt. And finally, there was the One Nation, One Subscription, which is also coming from the government very soon. So this is related to dissemination of your research, whether you disseminate your work through your academic media, social media, or even through college repository and everything. So the government has also come up with one scheme where every national institution and government institution will get benefit from this, and says like how we publish more than 1400 journals. So most of the journals which are in hybrid mode also will be available for them to read and access. So this was one from my end. I'll be available at dinner. So any one of you want to interact, please do touch. Thank you.
So we share the presentation to our participants as well. So I would like to thank all the panel members for providing us the perspective of what to expect, what to not. A lot of food for thought for us as scholars, faculty members who keep on publishing, when to use AI, when not to use AI, how to collaborate, when to collaborate, etc. Endless questions. I think more questions will come on during high tea and networking. Now I would like to invite Dr. Ashish Gupta, the co-convener of GBRC, to honor our guest and present a token of appreciation. May you please honor Professor Gurmeet Singh, Professor Satyanarayan, and Professor K. Ranajoy. Thank you, Dr. Ashish. I would also like to invite our Dr. Preeti Tar, the convener of GBRC, to honor our guests, Professor Sushil, Mr. Rahul Sharma, Professor Dowling, and Professor Ranajoy Bhattacharya. Thank you, Dr. Preeti. Yes.
So I just want to say one thing that see, generally we take a session, we teach, it's a 90-minute session wherein a single professor teaches class. So you have to give credit to these people. There are 6 professors who are sitting, and in 90 minutes they have finished. So huge round of applause.
Well said, Professor Ashish. Now I would like to invite all of you for high tea. Then after we proceed for different track sessions.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. कल भी 8 बजे तक था।